Wait, you like to talk. You like to talk, okay? Okay, Travis Brown, Horror Movies Uncut. We are still pushing this amazing coverage from Fantastic Fest 2024, which is the 19th edition of the festival. And there's been so many amazing films down here. But one of the key things about Fantastic Fest is we have this section called Burnt Ends. And it's always been one of my favorite sections because that is when you find like that next everything from filmmaker to star, but also you find that next great DP, that next great soundtrack composer, you know? So you get to find that grassroots feel back in filmmaking when you see Burnt End selections. And I think Aura did a great job like explaining that before the lead into the movie. Yeah. So that's why I'm piggybacking on her saying that because she was spot on with all of that. So then to get the opportunity to see a film like Gazer, right? It allowed me to say, okay, this is the movie that I need to go dig my dad up, because I will, from the grave. But actually his ass is he's in the ocean. We sprinkled, you know, my boy wanted to be in the ocean. So we put him there. You know, he wanted to go out fishing. So I'm like, now the fish got you, dog. But this is a movie that I would watch with my father, because he's the guy that like brought me up watching like classic westerns, classic black noir thrillers, and just one of the main things about the film, and Ariella, you do such a great job of adding this, and Ryan, I'm gonna have you start off by like digging into this. It's like when you see these movies that you guys have watched growing up and how they impact you, like what is that first kind of imposter syndrome thing that pops in your head that says, and I'm not talking about from finances, I'm talking about who you two are as talents, creatives, all the extra stuff you do. You guys can hire them for a couple weddings if you need to. They broke like me, so we all try to make money. What is that first thing that pops up in your head that you're like, okay, with this film Gazer, with what we're doing with her character, this quirky little individual who likes to just look in people's windows and just kind of stares off into the distance, what is that thing that you're like, okay, I better not do this first, or it's going to completely derail this entire process? And I'm going to have you piggyback with that too.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think it's interesting because there's such a power in ignorance, and coming in as you know, we've never made a feature film before, so coming in with that ignorance, even though we've seen all these films and we grew up watching these films, there was kind of like I think it was huge having Ariella as a co-writer, because obviously it's a female-led character, and I don't have that perspective. So having Ariella, you know, lend that perspective really helped out a lot. I think if she wasn't involved, I would probably have had a male character, unfortunately, because I wouldn't have known how to tell that story. So that would have been a huge pitfall for me right off the bat.
And then the movie would have been called Grinder. Yeah. So I'm so glad you didn't do that. And Justin Cook, don't get mad at me that I said that. One of my PR guys is really big on Grindr. So anyway, continue, please.
So Grindr is going to be the prequel.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's going to be the dude looking out the window. Come on.
I think the biggest thing that I wanted to get right was setting. Was really capturing the place that I grew up in before it's gone. It's being gentrified like everywhere else around the world. But it was important to me to capture that, and I think I was definitely cognizant throughout that we capture the array of people that live there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a melting pot. You know? And it's people from all walks of life struggling in the same ways, just you know, just speaking differently, looking differently, but we're all fighting for the same thing. You know?
Yeah, they do speak a different language in Jersey, man.
Oh yeah,
like they make up words.
All across Jersey.
Yeah, dude. It's different from different areas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like Newark people talk different than people up in the hill. Like it's completely crazy out there.
Oh yeah, it's like the out of the furnace. It's like Northwest Jersey. Yeah. They're in a different.
Ariella, what about you? Like, what's one thing, like, when you're writing this, you know, and I love the fact that Ryan's like, if we put a man in this, it's not the way to go. But you're writing this too, you know, what's one of the mistakes? I mean, what's one of the, you want to make sure you don't miss any opportunities is what I'm trying to really relay with this question. So what was something that you wanted to make sure you put your foot down for with this story right off the bat?
That's such a great question. Like Ryan said, we have no formal training. So a lot of the process from writing to shoot it, from beginning to end, was a learning curve.
Yeah.
We were really just figuring it out, but I think kind of our North Star, it's the best way to put this. I would say that there was no kind of imposter syndrome in that way, because we weren't doing anything to prove.
That's what's up.
anything.
Yeah, I feel you there.
You know, so every decision we made.
We didn't know anybody was going to see the movie.
You're like, we just out here shooting stuff, y'all.
Yeah.
Don't mind us.
And just like every
This might end up being a Kroger commercial for all we know.
But I just feel like every decision we made it because we were like, is this cool?
Yeah.
Do we like this?
This is what we want to see.
Is this what we want to see?
Right.
And then if there were ever like moments, you know, the horror sequences, for example, in the film, they were out. Yeah, they were pretty divisive from the beginning. But Ryan and I felt, we were like, well, no, this, it felt so justified when we were exploring those sequences, because it's like that's exactly how Frankie feels. We wanted to use genre to like elevate her experience. So we didn't do it for any other reason other than this is how we want to communicate this feeling.
Right.
So yeah, I think that was our.
That's awesome. I'm gonna stay with you because we're gonna talk about Frankie. And I mean, to say that this character is pivotal is just like the biggest understatement of the year. But I'm always curious when you're playing a character. Now, of course, as you mentioned in the Q&A, you have to do research because these are real issues that people go through, and you want to give them the utmost respect when you're trying to portray these characters, right? But at the end of the day, you're like this little weird, like kind of white-looking chick looking in people's windows. You know what I mean? But you're also a mother, and that's really what I want to talk about with Frankie. Do you have like a mother or auntie or maybe a grandma or maybe an abuela, somebody that you know you looked at as possibly strength in your life, who maybe was a single mother that was going through some trials and tribulations, that you could kind of tap into when you sit back and look at Frankie and you be like, yeah, there she is right there, you know?
Oh my God, that just like.
Did we find somebody? Did we find somebody? Who coming out? Can she cook? Can she cook? That's all I care about. Can she cook? Because y'all see me, I like to eat, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a very heavy thing, so that's why I hang out with your people all the time. Because like I live in a neighborhood filled with like Bosnians, Hispanics, Armenians, and they're just like, well, we know when Travis is coming down the street because he is just in every restaurant. Like, what y'all got today? You know. So tell me, who is this person? Like, where is this coming? Because it seems that hit a nice little spot for you.
It did. You know, it wasn't conscious because she. Sorry, I always like hold my mic.
Yeah, we don't. No, that's fine. It picks up great. You're fine.
I wasn't. She's very different from Frankie.
Okay.
But my mother raised me and my brothers
by herself.
She,
single parent,
single parent. Yep. She worked multiple jobs. She was in school. She sacrificed so much, and it's this like. It is her like feeling as a mother. She is a mother, you know, like, and that is how she identifies, and she would do anything for us. So I think like Frankie's motivation to be with her daughter and to go through all of that is my mother would do that and more, just to be with us.
Right.
So even though Frankie is like my mom is outgoing, she's tough, she's.
What would your mom think of Frankie if she met her on the street?
She would watch the film and she'd be like, "Yep,
okay,
I'm getting my daughter."
Okay.
They're like, "Yeah, that is."
You think your mom would help Frankie if she knew a woman like that in real life? Like, say your mom was actually in the film and she met Frankie, or would your mom be like, "Don't talk to her"? she'd just be staring at people for like a day.
Yeah.
Do you think your mom would help out? Do you think your mom would help out a character like Frankie if she ran across someone like her?
This is how my mom helps out.
Okay.
She's very tough. So she would just say to Frankie, like, do what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, get it done.
Yeah.
Is how she is. She would say, just get it done.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Ryan, man, going back to you, when you're looking at the shots of this film, and it's, you know, I thought there was a kid that asked, or a gentleman that asked about, you know, the use of the film, because you guys are just beautifully using Kodak, which is so great, right? And you and I talked at the bar about, you know, 2 festivals in a row where that has a film shot on Kodak. Like, so hopefully that trend continues. You're setting up these shots though, and you're with your DP, you guys are going back and looking at stuff. Like, I'm curious, like how, because it's guerrilla, right? I mean, it's guerrilla film shooting. You guys are doing this over the course of weekends. Yeah. How weird did shit get? Like, did you guys like have to hang yourself from things? Like, because when you're doing it by yourself, you end up doing some MacGyver shit, right? You you know, you can piggyback on this because you're part. You know, you guys all wore multiple hats in this, right? Like, what kind of weird shit did you guys have to do to get this accomplished? Because you guys have these angles that you would think that there was a crank, and I know y'all didn't have none of that shit. So I'm sitting there the whole time watching the movie. It's like, who was talking about somebody's feet? I was like, somebody got really comfortable with somebody's feet during this production. So tell me about some of the weird stuff that was going on to get some of these shots, because they are these classic, like I was telling you last night, they're these classic shots that you would usually see in like an Alfred Hitchcock suspense-driven tale. You know what I mean? Really reminiscent of stuff like that. Yeah. And that's why you give credit to those guys, because they were doing them in one shot. Yeah. You know what I mean? So tell me, how weird did it get out there?
Sure. I mean, it got weird. We, you know,
and how did y'all keep the prostitutes away?
We did.
No. They were like, cameras, y'all worse than the police.
Yeah, we, so I grew up doing electrical work. I've been working as an electrician since I was a kid.
That's right.
And so I had access to a bucket truck.
Okay.
And I'm very comfortable in the bucket truck. Our DP is afraid of heights. But I convinced him, you know, I strapped him into a harness and hooked him up, and I'm like, it's safe. And I controlled the bottom and set him up, and he's like, okay.
Right.
But so we did a lot of that. We had shooting on film. You know, there were times where we got the film back and it came back out of focus.
Yeah.
One of those instances was in the Meadowlands. I probably shouldn't tell the story, but fucking. We went.
You're still gonna see the movie anyway, damn it.
Yeah, we went and shot on No Trespassing Land, and we got everything. It looked really great.
We edited this part out though.
There was one shot.
Now we get into illegal stuff.
There was one shot that came back out of focus, so we were like, we got to go back. And a year later, we went back, and they put up a fence and they locked it.
Okay.
And I'm in the bucket truck because we used the bucket truck for light as a moonlight. Yeah. And we had behind us the van. I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Because I was in the van that was following the bucket truck.
Oh, okay.
And I was with our DP.
You guys just look like a bunch of rapists with a bucket truck driving around New Jersey. At night.
It's a small team of vehicles.
Wow. Yeah. Go ahead. I mean, that's a movie in its own right there.
Yeah.
So we approach the gate. Yeah. And I see Ryan, and then our DP turns to me. Well, he's like, "Oh no! Like, we're not going to be able to shoot here. Like, what are we going to do tonight?" And I'm like, "Do you not know Ryan?" At this point, I was like, "Just give it a second."
Right.
Ryan comes out of the truck. He goes up to the gate. He like shakes the lock. He's all pissed off.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh no!" And I'm like, "No, just give it a second." So Ryan just walks to the back of the bucket truck where all of his tools are, and he takes out.
We know what's coming out.
And he walks over and he cuts the bolt. He like chucks it. Everything's so dramatic. And he just looks at us and goes, "Come on!"
You know,
we gotta move fast.
Exactly.
And we had like a weekend gaffer. It was like his first weekend on the set, and he was like, "Guys, like, is this okay?" We're like, "No, I don't know. It's a shot."
Well, folks, look, I would love to keep talking to you guys about this film, and believe me, I'm sure I'll be running across you too in the near future. Thank you so much for this time. I really, really appreciate it. Best of luck with Gazer. I can't wait for people to see this. I think this film also, even though we want to see these films in theaters, I think this film's going to really play well for people at home too, because they can really sit there and invest in it and go back and rewatch so many parts of it. So thank you guys so much for your time and best of luck with everything. Okay,
Thank you.
Appreciate you.